Imagine a man so ravenous that no amount of food could satisfy him. He had to prowl the hospital corridors to drink the blood of other patients. He even attempted to eat corpses that were in the morgue, and some suspected that he had devoured a whole human child. Yes, you heard right. And above all that, this human black hole weighed barely 45 kilos. This is the chilling and bizarre tale of Tarare, a French showman, soldier, and spy whose insatiable hunger defied nature and horrified everyone around him. He was constantly hungry and ate vast amounts of meat. He could finish a quarter bullock by himself, which his parents had to kick him out when he was just a teenager, as they could not provide for him. This story is part of a new series I created, called Random, Sometimes Weird Pieces of History that I find fascinating. In this series, we are going to dive into the weird parts of science history that seem a little bizarre, aside from the science debunks I already do. Tarrare's appetite wasn't just unusual, it was terrifying. This man could eat anything, and I mean anything. His bizarre hunger even caught the attention of the French army. When he enlisted, the military rations just weren't enough for him. One portion? Forget it. He needed the equivalent of 15 soldiers' meals just to feel full. And when that wasn't enough, he turned to the gutters and rubbish heaps, devouring whatever he could find. But even that wasn't enough. His hunger drove him to the brink of collapse, and eventually he was hospitalized. Doctors watched in disbelief as Tarare devoured everything in sight. Live snakes, cats, lizards, and still begged for more. He could even swallow an eel whole without chewing. Yet despite these grotesque feasts, his body remained shockingly frail and underweight. He also showed no signs of mental illness other than what was described as an apathetic temperament. Enter General Alexandre de Beauharnais. He saw something in Tarare, something he could turn into a weapon. Instead of hiding this monstrous appetite, the general decided to use it. And his plan? It was to make Tarare a courier. He would swallow secret documents, slip through enemy lines, and once he was safely behind friendly walls, retrieve them from his own. Well, let's just say it wasn't pretty. On his first mission, he was captured by Prussian forces and was very severely beaten. He was also subjected to a mock execution before being returned to French lines. Humiliated and desperate, Tarare agreed to let doctors use him as an experiment. They wanted to understand the causes behind his monstrous appetite, and they tried everything. Be it strict diets, controlled rations, nothing worked. Starved and exhausted, Tarare slipped out of the hospital at night. He began scavenging for offal in gutters, rubbish heaps, and even outside butchers' shops. He even attempted to drink the blood of other patients in the hospital while they were bloodletting, and to eat the corpses in the hospital's morgue. And that was not all. He was being suspected of eating a 1-year-old toddler. This, of course, caused him to be ejected from the hospital. He reappeared 4 years later in Versailles with a case of severe tuberculosis. Shortly afterwards, he died, following a lengthy bout of exudative diarrhea. And just like that, his story ended, without answers. Such a sad story. There were other similar cases during his time period. However, only Tarrare's story was documented. We don't even know his full name or his date of birth, just his story. He also lived in the 18th century, and the medical field was just not advanced as it is today. His case was also rare. There has been no concrete proof of what he could have suffered from, or the reason for his unusual appetite, but we can try our best to figure it out. First off, he had soft fair hair and an abnormally wide mouth, roughly 4 inches between his jaws, when his mouth was fully extended. His teeth were also heavily stained to a point where the lips were almost invisible. When he had not eaten, his skin hung so loosely that he could wrap the fold of skin from his abdomen around his waist. And when full, his abdomen distended like a huge balloon. The skin of his cheeks was wrinkled and hung loosely. And when stretched out, he could hold 12 eggs or apples in his mouth. His body was hot to the touch, and he sweated heavily. He constantly had a foul body odor. He was described as smelling to such a degree that he could not be endured within the distance of 20 paces. This smell became noticeably worse after he had eaten. His eyes and cheeks became bloodshot, and he had a visible vapor rose from his body. When he became lethargic, during which time he belched noisily, his jaws made swallowing motions. He also had chronic diarrhea, which was said to be fetid beyond all conception, despite his large intake of food. He did not appear either to vomit excessively or to gain weight. Also, aside from his eating habits, his contemporaries saw no apparent signs of mental illness or unusual behavior in him, other than an apathetic temperament with a complete lack of force and ideas. I am not a doctor, but from what I was able to pick on from my research, he likely had to have a severe case of hyperthyroidism due to the insatiable hunger and weight loss, despite massive food intake. An overactive thyroid tends to increase metabolic rate, this leading to hunger. Also, the light hair, hot skin, and constant sweating and fatigue due to muscles loss, which are symptoms of hyperthyroidism. It could also be a connective tissue disorder due to the elastic skin. So, there is a time I came across this girl's story, whose case was similar to Tarrare's, and it was heartbreaking.
She started going to the trash for food when she was about 5.
Prader-Willi syndrome makes me hungry and makes me want to eat food all the time.
She suffers from a rare disorder known as Prader-Willi syndrome. Prader-Willi syndrome is a rare genetic disorder caused by a loss of function of specific genes on chromosome 15. In babies, symptoms include weak muscles, poor feeding, and slow development. It begins in childhood, and those affected become constantly hungry, which often leads to obesity and type 2 diabetes. But Tarare was underweight, so it can't be this. Other contenders can be a damage to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the brain's control center for hunger and satiety. The lateral hypothalamus triggers hunger signals when the body needs energy. The ventromedial hypothalamus signals satiety. It tells you to stop eating when you're full. If the hypothalamus is damaged or dysregulated, satiety signaling fails. The brain then never gets the "you're full" message, even after huge meals. The lateral hypothalamus may keep firing hunger signals, which disrupts leptin and ghrelin, hunger hormones, that make a person constantly crave food. The body might also burn energy too quickly, increasing the urge to eat. But tell me, what do you think caused his condition?